Shalom, shalom to the lost scattered sheep of the house of Israel, Torah tribes. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You are the Israelite of this Bible. And today, as you see in the title of the lesson, we are obligated to keep the Sabbath day holy. So what is the Sabbath day? It's gonna give me Genesis chapter 2 and read verse 2 to 3. You gotta understand that I'm low-key jumping the gun, but I'm gonna read it first. Let's just read it first before I jump the gun. Go ahead and read that.
Genesis chapter 2 and verse 3. And God blessed the seventh day.
Oh, that too. So like it.
In verse 2. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had made. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made.
So this is dealing with after the Most High created the earth, during the creation, how he created the plants, the water, animals, people. He rested on the seventh day. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rest from all his work which God created and made.
So this is when the Sabbath day was first created, because it was a day that he rested from all his works. He said, you know what? I'm going to give this to my people as a day for them to rest from all their work. Now give me Mark chapter 2 and read verse 27.
Mark chapter 2 and verse 27. And he said unto them, the Sabbath was made for men, and not men for the Sabbath.
See, how the Most High, he created the Sabbath for us, so we can rest from our works. He didn't make it just for himself. He's a creator. He can do what he wants. He can rest any day if he wants to, but he made it specifically for us because he knows we're going to be, working and laboring to try to get this bread, as you would say, to be successful and all that, because it takes work and diligence and dedication, but you also understand that you need a break. You need those. You need a day where you can just rest so you can recuperate and come even harder or come even better the next time that you work. Give me Exodus 31 and read verse 12 through
Exodus chapter 31 and verse 12. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, speak thou also unto the children of Israel, saying, verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep.
It said,
For it
verily
is,
my Sabbath ye shall keep. The Most High is saying you gotta it's self-explanatory, so I really don't have to explain much. You gotta just keep them. Go ahead.
for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations.
That's a sign between us and him through our generation, which means we gotta keep the Sabbath from every generation, like literally. I know it was a bad way of explaining it, but nonetheless, it's looking like forever to me. Because generations just gonna keep coming. It's just your children, and after your children's children, and your children's children, and your children's children. As you can read in Psalm 78, we're supposed to teach our children likewise to keep the law, statutes, and commandments, so that their children will keep it. It'll be the same manner here. Go ahead.
That ye may know that I am the Lord that doeth sanctify you.
Read verse 14.
Verse 14. Ye shall keep the Sabbath therefore, for it is holy unto you.
Holy
Everyone,
meaning set apart. So like it. Holy meaning set apart. The Sabbath day is set apart from all the other days, because all the other days we're going to be working. It's going or you also pleasing yourself, or you chilling, I guess you could say, or let's say like you want to rest from your work or whatever. That's fine. You play some video games or something like that. But this day, today, is sanctified. It's made specifically to worship the Most High. We're supposed to rest, recuperate. That's what this day is going to be about. Go ahead.
for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death.
It said, anyone who defileth shall surely be put to death. That's a serious matter. Most High say you got to keep it and sanctify it and holy and keep it holy. But then when you want to do what you want to do, you want to be like, oh no, I gotta get some more money. I gotta, I gotta get this bread up. I'm gonna just work this day. The Most High ain't gonna mind it. The Most High say he gonna push you to death. It's that serious. Because he's like, look, I'm giving you a day to rest, and you choosing money over me. You basically created another god for yourself because you're putting power to the money at this point. But then you're breaking another commandment. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Most are trying to save your life, literally. Because when you overwork, you get what? High blood pressure. You get high levels of stress. You get migraines. It's bad for the body. Give me Psalms 92:1.
Do you want me to finish this?
Oh, go ahead and finish that. So like it.
For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul should be cut off from among his people.
That soul gonna be cut off from among his people. That's a serious. You should take that very seriously. But is knowing Israel being hard headed and stiff necked, we gotta. It's gonna be constantly repeated. You can read that through Exodus, from 20 down, really, from the chapters 20, 21, and 22, 23. It's going to be repeated. Go ahead, give me Psalms 92:1, just to show what else you're supposed to do on this day.
Psalms chapter 92, in verse 1. It is a good thing to give thanks unto the Lord and to sing praises unto thy name, O Most High.
See, you're supposed to pray to the Most High, give praise to him, give honor and glory to him, because he allows you to wake up. He allows you to walk on this earth, to breathe that air that you breathe in from the plants. And he also allowed you to have a day of rest, which is for 24 hours of resting. It doesn't necessarily just mean sleep, but it just means like, you get to take a break. You get to chill for a minute, chill from the stresses of the world and all that. You got to be like, oh man, I got bills to pay. My car note is due, man. I got to pay this water bill, this electric bill. You don't got to worry about that on the Sabbath. You chilling. It's a rest day. You don't have to worry about that. All you can do really, praise the Most High and chill out. You good. Have you some ice cream. Let's get into some of the regulations. Give me Exodus 20:8. Read from verse 8 to 11.
Exodus 20 and verse 8. In verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy.
It says, remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. You got to keep it in your forefront of your mind. Because, let's be honest, some people forget. I forget sometimes. It'll be on Friday. I'll be thinking about, man, what I got to do tomorrow. I got to make sure I'm prepared for work and all something. I'm like, hold on, wait a minute. It's about to be the Sabbath. I don't got to worry about that right now. It's a day of rest. All praises. Go ahead. Go ahead, read that.
Verse 9. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy works.
So 6 days. You got 6 days to take care of what needs to be taken care of. Go ahead.
But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work. Thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter.
So your children ain't supposed to be working. It's like your children ain't supposed to be working. Your manservant, your maidservant, your employees in terms of nowadays, they're not supposed to be working. Go ahead.
Nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates.
Nor your cattle, if you're like a farmer, or if you deal with animals like the oxen or like sheep or something like that, they get them working on your land to make you money. They not supposed to be working. Your animals are supposed to be resting. And even the strangers or the other nations, if you have like Edomites or so-called white men or the Arabs working for you and all that, they supposed to be resting on this day. They're not supposed to be working. Go ahead.
For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is, and rest on the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it.
The Lord blessed the Sabbath day and he hallowed it. He made it set apart. This shows already how it's set apart from all the other days. Give me so that's one. You see, no laborious work, no laborious work. Give me Nehemiah 13, verse 19 through 21.
You said Nehemiah 9.
13. Nehemiah
Chapter
13 and 19 through 21.
Nehemiah, Nehemiah chapter 13 and verse 19. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, chapter 13 and verse 19. And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath, I commanded that the gates should be shut and charged that they should not be opened till after the Sabbath.
So this is Nehemiah. He was dealing with Israel. They was buying and selling on the Sabbath with the merchants that was coming in through Jerusalem. And understand it's a Sabbath, you're not supposed to be buying or selling. That's why he said, okay, we got to close these. I command when it's the time of the Sabbath, because understanding the Sabbath comes from evening to evening. So from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, it's a Sabbath. So he said, look, when it becomes the Sabbath, when it's that Friday evening, close the gates because they ain't supposed to be no buying or no working on that day. Go ahead.
And some of my servants set I at the gates, that there should not burden be brought in on the Sabbath day.
Mm-hmm.
So the merchants and the sellers of all kinds of war launched without Jerusalem once or twice.
Mm-hmm.
Then I testified against them and said unto them, why launched ye about the wall? If ye do so again, I will lay hands on you.
So this is
From
saying, so like, yeah, this is the merchants and sellers. They just waiting outside. They're like, oh, they're gonna open the gate eventually, because we gotta make this money today. And then Maya pull up. He said, hey, why you waiting at this gate? You see, we're closed. Go home. If you don't go home, it's gonna be a problem. Lay hands, Then you gonna have to put the beats on them. You know. Go ahead.
I will lay hands on you. From that time forth came they no more on the Sabbath.
They got the message quickly. They said, oh, this prophet of the Lord said he gonna lay hands. He want problems? Nah, I don't want no smoke. I'm leaving. I'll come back to. I'll see you on Sunday. I'll see you next week. That's the type of energy they was on. The type of timing they was on. So as we see another one, no buying or selling. Give me Exodus 35 and read verse 1 through 3.
Exodus chapter 35 and verse 1. And Moses gathered all the congregation of the children of Israel together and said unto them, these are the words which the Lord hath commanded, that ye shall do them. 6 days shall work be done, but on the seventh day there should, there shall be to you an holy day, a Sabbath of rest to the Lord. Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death. Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day.
So 6 days supposed to be working. 7th day we're supposed to keep it. If you don't keep the 7th day, you're gonna be put to death. No buying, no selling, and no cooking. That's what the word kindle means, which I got the Strong's definition of the word kindle. You can look in the Strong's as H1198 to kindle, consume by fire or by eating, to become brutish, be brutish, bring, put, take away, burn, cause to eat, feed, heat, set on fire, waste. So it's showing that the word kindle, it means to cook, which also in the Strong's it also means heated. So microwaves too, because microwaves are made to use the radiations to heat up your food. And as we've read in this definition, it says, heated, to use heat, to consume by fire. Microwaves is you can't use that either on the Sabbath. That's considered cooking. Um, and that's a regulation. No cooking on the Sabbath. Even though we love to cook, there's just some great cooks out here. I can't I can't shoot no shade, but we can't cook today. Cook the day before the prep day, which we have to we're gonna get into that in a second. Give me actually we can tackle it right now. Get Exodus 16 and 22.
Uh,
Exodus 16 and read verse 22 through 26.
Exodus chapter 16 and verse 22. And it came to pass that on the sixth day they gathered twice as much bread.
So this is when Israel was in the wilderness, and the Most High was giving them manna, which is heavenly bread. And he said on the sixth day he's gonna give twice as much. Wondering now, you will wonder why on the sixth day he'll give twice as much. Wouldn't he just give him like just how he did it on the regular? There's a reason why he did it twice as much on the sixth day. Go ahead and continue reading.
2 omers for one man. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. And he said unto them, this is that which the Lord hath said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto the Lord. Bake that which ye will bake to today, and seeth that ye will see it. And that which remaineth over lay up for you to keep it until the morning.
So the people come and asking, he said, telling Moses, "Hey, there's twice as much today. Can you act like what's up with that?" And Most High reveal to Moses, "Hey, look, this is gonna be the day where you prep. Do all your cooking today on the sixth day, not literally today, but I'm just saying in this context. Do all your prepping today on the sixth day. Do all your cooking because tomorrow, the Sabbath, you're not going to do no cooking. It's a day of rest. It's a day about me." So, in other words, you have to do what they'll have is what you call leftovers. You make a little extra food so you can carry it on for the next day. But I wanted to bring out the definition of seed also in the concordance. Uh, it's H1310, the word bashar, which means to boil, hence to be done in cooking. Bake, boil, bring forth, roast, seethe, side, or be sodded. So it's in all those matters. Boiling, whether you're just baking, whether you're frying, while you're roasting with fire or on a grill. It's supposed to be no cooking. You only cook on the sixth day you want to make what you want to make. So you want to make a pizza or you want to make some burgers or something or some chicken. Do that on the sixth day and carry it over as a leftovers on the next day. It's a simple concept. It should be simple, but Israel wants to be hard-headed, do what they want to do, and end up having to suffer the consequences of their actions. You can drop that. Give me Isaiah 58 and 13.
Isaiah chapter 58 and verse 13. If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thy own ways, nor finding thy own pleasure, nor speaking thy own words, then shall thou delight thyself in the Lord, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places on the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it.
So okay, I just wanted verse 13. But verse 10 was talking about if thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, meaning you want to do what you want to do. You might, I know it's the Sabbath, but he can't have all 24 hours. I gotta put my 2 hours in for myself, doing my own pleasure, which that can come with a lot of things. One of those things could be sex on the Sabbath. Can't be doing that. That's unlawful. Now you want to say, Oh, that's not talking about sex. That's talking about something else. That's talking about not or whatever. I don't know what kind of examples they'll be bringing up. Sometimes they'll say, I'll bring up an example with video games. You have 6 days to play your video games and all that kind of stuff. But the Sabbath day, the seventh day, is about the Most High. What does you playing video games have to do with the Most High and how He allowed you to wake up another day? Because they'll say, "Oh, it's cool and all that." You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with playing video games. It's a day of rest. You telling me I can't have no fun? I can't have no chill? I'm like, okay, you can have your chill, but understand this: you have 24 hours to praise the Lord and give honor where it's due. And you take 2 hours out of His day to do what you want to do. That's the example I'll give. That's the question I'll ask him. You're gonna take 2 hours out of the Most High's day to do what you want to do? But just in the event they'll say, okay, that pleasure is not talking about Sabbath. Give me this precept, Wisdom of Solomon 7:2.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 2. And in my mother's womb was fashioned to be flesh in the time of 10 months, being compact in blood and of seed of men, and the pleasure that came with sleep.
It said the pleasure that came with sleep. So what pleasure that came with sleep? What's that talking about? From my understanding, it would be sex. So that was compared to as a pleasure. So if you go back to Isaiah, it's saying, if thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, the Most High being what's the word? Not persuasive, possessive, saying this is my holy day. This is a day to worship me. You take it 30 minutes, 15. You taking 15 minutes out of your day, out of my day, to sleep with your wife. You basically worshiping your wife in that sense. You're giving power to her because you want to give power to your to her needs, or you're being putting power to yourself. You make yourself, I'm the God. I can do what I want. I can sleep with who I want to sleep with on this day. When you have 6 days a week to do that, plan accordingly. So the Sabbath was never changed. The Most High never changes. He sets foot in stone, said, keep my Sabbath, or you're going to suffer the consequences. And the consequences are steep. And understanding the Most High is long suffering. It could be on some, oh man, I've been playing, I've been playing sports all my life. I've been playing since, on Saturdays and all that kind of stuff. It's okay. The Most High can wait 20 years. 20 years is nothing to him because he's eternal. 10 years is nothing to him. 100 years is nothing to him. He might not punish you specifically, but he might punish your loved ones. He might punish your mother, your father, your siblings, your cousins, your auntie, your great grandmother, your grandmother, or he might punish your kids when you have kids because of the folliness that you wanted to do on his day. But nothing has changed in terms of keeping the Sabbath. Even the Yahweh Shai and the apostles kept it. Give me Luke 14, so like Luke 4:16.
Luke chapter 4 and verse, you said 16? Verse 16. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day, but stood up for to read. And there was delivered unto him the book of the prophet Elias. And when he had opened the book, he found the place where it was written, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he hath anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He hath sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised. Keep going.
Kind of so no, it's good. So this is dealing with Christ. You know, it was a custom in Israel, in the land of Israel, that all the 12 tribes will go to Jerusalem to keep the Sabbath. So he said he came. So in verse 16 says he came to Nazareth, where he had brought up, or he was brought up. You know, he was raised, and as his custom was he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up to read. So they was reading on the Sabbath day. They was reading the precepts, as you read in a later verse with the prophet Isaiah, which will be Isaiah, if I'm not mistaken, in the Greek.
Yes, Isaiah.
Yeah, so it's Isaiah in the Greek. They was reading the testimonies of the Lord's prophets, and what were the prophets teaching? Of course, prophecy that's going to come to pass, and keeping the statutes and commandments. Give me Mark chapter so like it. Give me Mark 6:2. You know, we read in this what is it, verse 18, where he was preaching on the Sabbath as well. But this is just another example, just showing that what else did he do on the Sabbath. Go ahead, read that.
God. Mark chapter 6 and verse 2. And when the Sabbath day was come, he began to teach in the synagogue, and many hearing him were astonished, saying,
That's it. You see how Yahushua, he said he was teaching on the Sabbath. Now, some people will be looking at us and be like, oh, well, y'all hypocrites. You know, y'all working on the Sabbath. This is different. This is gathering a lost sheep out of Israel. If Yahushua did it, that means we're allowed to do so. We're trying to gather our nation to a better light, to a better way, to a solution to reverse the curses, as you would say. You know, we want to help or lift our people. The laws only help uplift you. It don't bring you down. It brings you up. It keeps you in a better light, in a better place with the Most High, where the Most High will bless you and put you above all nations, and also just for your just in health overall. Give me Acts 17, read verse 1 and 2. You know, so even so if your house is doing it, then you think his apostles weren't doing it? That would be kind of backwards, right? That would be very hypocritical, right? But no, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. Go ahead, read that.
Acts chapter 17 and verse 1. Now, when they had passed through Amphipolis and Apollonia, they came to Thessalonica, where where was a synagogue of the Jews.
Now, Thessalonica, that's north, where so like it, that is northern Greece. So there was Jews in northern Greece. So some will say, "Oh, you only allowed to keep it in Israel. You can't keep it nowhere else. We can't keep it in our land of our captivity." Well, this is in Greece, northern Greece, Thessalonica. That's where Jews was dwelling. That's where Paul was going, preaching the gospel. But go ahead, read verse 2.
Verse 2. And Paul, as his manner was, went in unto them, and 3 Sabbath days reasoned with them out of the scriptures.
Said 3 Sabbath days. I mean, they was keeping the Sabbath 3 weeks, because a 7-day Sabbath is a weekly feast that you're supposed to keep. So it said 3 Sabbath days. So they were keeping the Sabbath in Greece, which just shows you that, you know, they Paul was keeping it, and the Jews that were there that were learning of the gospel were keeping it as well. Give me Acts. Stay in Acts. Go to chapter 13, read verse 40 through 44.
Acts chapter 13 and verse 40. Beware therefore lest that come upon you, which is spoken of in the prophets. Behold, ye despisers, and wonder and perish, for I have a work in your days, a work which ye shall in no wise believe, though a man declare it unto you. And when the Jews were gone out of the synagogues, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath.
You see, that
For
shows so like this shows that the apostles were teaching on the Sabbath, teaching repentance, teaching to come back to who you are as a people, as a nation, because understanding in history, we'll hold this real quick. Give me First Maccabees 1 and read verse 44. Because in history, our people was calling themselves Gentiles because of after the Greek captivity, we was being Hellenized to be like them. Or Hellenized just means to become Greek. I mean, following their customs and their ways. So we went from that and then continued on all the way into the Roman captivity. Go ahead, read that. Actually, read verse 1 and 1 first, and then drop down.
First, First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 1. And it happened after Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian,
Mm-hmm.
who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece.
So this is talking about Alexander the Great, as the world will know, or Alexander the Greek, the Macedonian, who killed Darius king, which was prophesied in Daniel 7 with the four beasts, that the Greece will be the next world power. So this is just showing not only prophecy fulfilled, but also a historical reference. But if you look up King Darius, you'll look up what his name, King Xerxes the first or the second. I think it's King Xerxes the second. Uh, of showing that history being proven. So this is Greek rulership. I'm trying to see. I might read. We might read down. I want to get the verse where drop down verse 10.
Verse 10. There came out of them a wicked root.
Actually, so like read verse 7 first, and then drop down. Then read down.
Verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
his
what's
servant,
so like which Alexander, he reigned 12 years. He died. He said he died at a young age. To a disease. Some sources say it was a disease. Others say that he was poisoned, but nonetheless that he died. Um, After he died, his kingdom split up, which we're going to talk about. It split up into four kingdoms, which or through his four generals, which was Ptolemy, Cassander, was it Lysimachus or Lycidius? I forgot the L one.
I think
Uh,
the first one you guys said.
the first one,
Yeah,
Lysimachus.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's Cassander, Ptolemy, Lysimachus, and Seleucid. Was his four generals, and his kingdom got to split into four parts, which you're gonna read. Go ahead, finish reading that.
Verse 8. And his servants bear rule over one of his place.
Mm-hmm.
And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years. And evils were multiplied in the earth.
Because they was end up warring with each other for territories later on, where if I'm not mistaken, Seleucid ended up taking over Ptolemy, or was warring with Ptolemy in Egypt, or the Seleucid Empire, which where was the Seleucid Empire? So like I forgot for at the time. I
So I
think
don't
they
know.
were like Asia Minor.
It's somewhere around that region, but I don't know verbatim.
That's what I could. But nonetheless, you can look up this history. It's the Maccabean revolt. You can look up that, or you can look up um the four generals that I named, where they were at. But go ahead, read that. Read verse 10.
And it came to pass uh, out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes,
Mm-hmm.
son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage at Rome. And he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks.
So it said it came out a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, which you could look that up. The name Epiphanes as a historical reference if you don't believe the scripture here in the Apocrypha. But he came out. He said he was a wicked root. He was doing some foul stuff, which we're gonna read. Drop down, read verse 44.
Verse 44.
Actually, oh no, that's okay. Yeah, reverse.
Let's see.
41. Reverse 41.
Verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
So he wanted to unite all the people, Jews and Gentiles, in the ways of the Greeks. You know, worshiping their gods and building gymnasiums, which means to exercise naked, to wrestle naked, to act in all manners of fornication and homosexuality. Go ahead.
That all should be one people, and every one shall leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king.
Said all the heathen, they agreed. They said, "Hey, we'll do what you say. We don't want no smoke." Go ahead.
Yet many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and
And
sanctified.
many Israelites went and did as King Antiochus commanded. Why? Because they feared them. They feared him more than they feared the Creator. Go ahead.
And sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath.
And then profane the Sabbath. Because go ahead and read it. Let's go ahead and finish reading. I'm not going to jump the gun.
For the king had sent letters by messengers into Jerusalem and the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days.
The King Antiochus, he was like, look, I want everybody to be like us, be like the Greeks. So I want them to be keeping what we keep and profane your Sabbath days. He was against us having our rest days and reverencing the Most High. See, he wanted to be the Most High. He wanted to proclaim himself as I'm God, I'm your creator. I want you to worship me. I want you to worship our gods. I don't want you to worship your the Most High Yahweh. So that's why he said, look, ban this. Don't keep the Sabbath. Go ahead, finish reading that.
And pollute the sanctuary and holy people,
Uh-huh.
set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beast, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised.
Understanding the circumcision, that's what sealed you into the covenant. And he said, look, I don't want your sealed with no covenants with this creator, with Yahweh or whatever you worship. He said, I want you to worship me. Don't even circumcise your children. Go ahead. Your male child. Go ahead.
And make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation,
Mm-hmm.
to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinance. And whosoever would not do according to the commandments of the king, he said he shall die.
And this is out of his own mouth. He said, look, if they don't do what I say to do, if them Israelites don't stop keeping the Sabbath and worship my gods and my Sabbaths, he's gonna die. She's going to die. They were trying to kill our people for keeping the Sabbath, for keeping his commandments, to keeping the circumcision during the time of the Greeks. Give me first, stay in First Maccabees. Go to chapter 2 and read verse 32.
First Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 32. They pursued after them a great number, and having overtaken them, they camped against them and made war against them on the Sabbath day.
See, even so, it's even showing, because when you read later, or I think it's earlier in, actually no, so like when you read later on in chapter 1, around the the verses of 50 and down to the end, uh some Israelites were like, we're still gonna keep the Sabbath, so they ran into the hills, into the mountains to keep the Sabbath. The Greeks understood it's our day of rest. We're not supposed to be working, we're not supposed to be buying or selling, so they would war on us on the Sabbath, thinking to take advantage. Was that it of that verse?
Con.
Kind of so, but through the Spirit, the Most High instilled in the brothers in the Maccabean family with Judas Maccabeus. He said, "Nah, we gotta defend ourselves. We can't let the other nations just come in and think that they're gonna just destroy us. Otherwise, Israel's gonna be wiped out." So, and that goes with in tune of doing good on the Sabbath, which I'm gonna get into. Give me Matthew 12 and read verse 12.
Matthew 12 and verse 12. How much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore it is lawful to do well on the Sabbath days.
See, I was trying to say it's lawful to do well on the Sabbath day. So if it's like, I'm not sure where this precept is, so like here, but there was an example that he gave. It said, "Your oxen fell into a pit. Are you not going to pull it out?"
I think I noticed
I want that precept. You can get that for me. Thanks. Um, but it's not. It's nothing wrong with doing good on Sabbath. If you see your brother, you know, he sick or something like that, or like he's um where it's a life or death situation, then you would help in that matter. Like for instance, you got a brother and a sister, right? His wife is pregnant, but she's having like these aches and pains, and it could be a life or death for the child. So you will take that child to the ER. Now let's say, uh, you know, for example, if no, if you don't have no gas in your car, you would want to like, hey, call another brother to help you give it a ride to the hospital. If you can't reach them, you'll pray to the Most High. You go get gas and go handle your business. But that's not as an excuse to go and say, oh, well, he did it, so I can do it. I can go buy on the Sabbath and all that and do what I need to do. I'm thirsty. I'm gonna go buy some water. No, you had a prep day to do that. Go take care of it on the prep day you're supposed to. This is not necessarily as an excuse for you to do what you want to do, because understanding you leave a little wiggle room for Israel, they're gonna take full advantage and do what they want to do, please themselves.
that.
But like I said, it's nothing wrong with doing good on the Sabbath. It's not like it's only do something as a necessity. If you see like a spill on the ground or something like that, let's say you at home and your kid ended up spilling some juice on the ground, clean that up. You don't want sticky your ground to be all sticky and dirty and all that kind of stuff. Make sure you keep yourself in order. You know what I'm saying? Don't get into uh where you end up deep cleaning your whole house, you moving stuff around, moving couches, moving shelves, dressers and stuff like that. That's when you're going off. That's you should have did that the day before prior during your 6 days of working. Um, was you able to find that precept?
Yeah, I got it.
All right, go ahead and read that.
You want me to start at verse 1? Luke
Yeah.
14. Luke chapter 14 and verse 1. And it came to pass, as he went into the house of one of the chief Pharisees to eat bread on the Sabbath day, that they watched him. And behold, there was a certain man before him, which had the dropsy. And Yahushua answering spake unto the lawyers of the Pharisees, saying, It is it is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath day? And
Mm-hmm.
they held their peace, and he took him and healed him and let him go, and answered them, saying, Which of you shall have a ass or an ox falling into a pit, and will not straightway pull him out on the Sabbath day? And they came not answer him again to these things. And he put forth a parable to to those which were biting. Yeah, when he marked how they chose out the chief rooms, saying unto them, "Oh, that was it."
That's a con. So showing, most Yahweh Shai was the Pharisees was watching them, and Yahweh Shai was about to perform a miracle and heal a brother, and he's and the Pharisees like, hey, ain't you supposed to be working on the Sabbath? He's like, isn't that wrong to heal on the Sabbath? You see your brother, he got cut or something like that, right? Let's say he got like a gash on his arm or something. He ended up cutting himself. Might have been from falling or from walking and end up running into something. You know, he gotta get that patched up. He can't just like, oh, I cut myself. I can't heal. I can't work on the Sabbath, so I'm just gonna let myself bleed out. No, take care of yourself. You can still take care of yourself. It's just understanding there's a day, is a time and place to do your laborious work. You have a preparation day to prep, to do what you're cooking, to do handle any affairs. Take if you got to get gas to your car, get gas to your car. And the sixth day, and the seventh day is to rest and to worship the Most High. It's very simple. Um, I want to bring up some more historical references dealing with how we already showed with the Greeks on how they wanted Israel to defile the Sabbath and said it was against the if you don't keep their traditions, you'll put to death. And understanding they used to war with us on the Sabbath because they even the Greeks understood that we kept the Sabbath day on the seventh day, or what we call today Saturday, and how they knew that we're not supposed to be working. This was um a book you can get or called the Stratagems Aqueducts of Rome. It's, it's a section. It's an aqueduct. The Stratagems Aqueducts of Rome, Book 2, Section 1, line 17. It says the divine Vespasian attacks the Jews on the day of Saturn, on which is forbidden for them to do anything serious, and prevailed. So the day of Saturn, which will be our today, will be Sabbath, not or our Sabbath day. That's not necessarily saying that we worshipped their god Saturn and all that kind of stuff. It's just understanding that's the terminology they will use because that's what they worship. They worshipped the planet Saturn and worship as a god and all that kind of stuff and as a deity. So they would say on on the day of Saturn, but for us it's just a Sabbath day. Um, then there's I want to get another example, so I can give you one moment. Um, just showing this during the Romans when they was if I'm not mistaken, with the Vespasian attack. That's with the during the 70 AD siege, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's during the 70 AD siege that you could read about in Matthew. Is it 20? I think it's Matthew 20. We don't have to get it, but I want to make sure it's the right chapter. I don't want to lead Israel off and all that. Let's see.
Luke 21.
Oh, Luke 21. So like yeah. So uh Luke 21 with the siege of 70 AD that was prophesied, and this was just showing a fulfillment of that coming to pass. And that's how you find a lot of Israelites in Africa today, because they end up coming down from Israel, running from the persecution of the Romans into the different parts of Africa. Uh Then I got another source from another book called Roman History. It's book 37, chapter 16, from lines 2 to 4. It says, "As it was, they made an excavation of what are called the days of Saturn, and by doing no work at all on those days, afforded the Romans an opportunity in this interval to batter down the wall. The latter, on learning of this superstitious awe of theirs." So this is what the Romans, they proclaimed it as a superstition, but to us we understood it as a Sabbath day. We're not supposed to be working on these days or do any manner of work. It says made no serious attempts of the so okay, no serious attempts the rest of the time. But on those days, when they came around in succession, assaulted most vigorously. Thus the defenders were captured on the day of Saturn without making any defense, and all the wealth was plundered. Showing that, you know, that we kept this. That it's just another example of it showing that we kept the Sabbath day. We kept um during the time of the Romans. and how when they was trying to do a whole lot of conquering, this is also during the siege of 70 AD, under what's his name, Titus, was
Yeah.
his name General Titus, of Rome, or was he emperor? I think the emperor was Marcus Aurelius, during that time. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Ptolemy. Yeah.
yeah, kind of. So, uh, got one more source. Um, it's a Roman general, Sextus Julius Frontius, who campaigned under Emperor Domitian. He wrote a book of strategies used by the General Vespasian when his Roman armies captured Jerusalem in 70 AD. That was where that was the source. So like I meant to source that properly, or give you a little bit context history of the strategy and aqueducts of Rome. That was his book that he wrote. And that quote is from him, from his experiences during the siege of 70 AD. What else I want to get? Um Also, you have another man by the name of Lucius Cassius Dio. Uh, he was a Roman statesman and a historian of Rome and Greek history. He wrote additional accounts of the wars between the Jews and Romans, as well as the sieges of Jerusalem in 63 BC, and so like in a series of books, entitled Roman History. So that's where that source that I brought out, of Roman History, book 16, I was sorry, book 37 and chapter 16, on how they made wars on the Sabbath constantly, and they came vigorously, they came aggressively, especially on the days where we kept the Sabbath, because they understood that that's a day of rest. We're not thinking about warfare and all kind of stuff, because we're thinking about praising the Most High. Um, and then um you know so we already see that the seventh day has been recognized uh as a Sabbath in various countries and languages, where in French, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it's spelled Samedi, or Samedi. You got in the Latin, Sabbatu, or Sabbatu, which also means rest, if I'm not mistaken. You got Spanish sábado, which means to rest. You got in Arabic al sabat, or al sabt, Salakia. You have English, which would be Saturday. Um, and then you got the Greek days, which was Zabeto, which or also spelled Sabbata, also known as Saturday today as well. So like you're just showing uh that even the other nations understand the concept of the seventh day being a Sabbath. They may not keep it as Israelites are supposed to keep it, but they understood that that was the end of the week. Um, so now we got then you'll wonder, so you probably wonder, so if it's the seventh day of the week is Saturday, why is it Sunday? Well, that was a law that was institutionalized by Constantine during 321 AD. He wanted to change the Sabbath day from Saturday to Sunday, which which he would call it Dies de Sol, or Day of the Sun. From worship. So they were worshiping the sun god of the Babylonians, and they wanted all the other people to do so, kind of like how Antiochus was on everybody to be one nation, one people. So he said, you know what, we're going to just tweak it a little bit. We're going to use what the Jews worship and say, this is a day that we're that we can keep. That it can still be. It's just not. It's not going to be the 7 day Sabbath, not the original, the true one, but it's just going to be Sunday. That's going to be the new 7 day Sabbath. And then the council. So like yeah, I want to get something real quick. Pull up some historical references. Um, so these are just things you could look up. Where I sourced my information was from Britannica. Um, it says dealing with the 321 days in 321 AD, the Christianized Roman Emperor Constantine declared Sunday a day of rest, although it was in honor of the venerable day of the sun, hence the name of the day, not of the traditional Sabbath. So it was traditional that we kept the Sabbath on Saturday, but he ended up changing it to Sunday, a day of worshiping the sun. And then the Council of Laodicea end up outlawing the keeping of the Sabbath and encouraging the rest, encouraging resting on the Sunday, encouraging the Sabbath being on Sunday. How they were encouraging it? By putting our people to death, as we shown in the examples with Lucius Cassius Dio and the Vespasian War, because the Romans was keeping, um, they was keeping it on their worship days and saying it's Sunday and all that. But just to get into, what does Sunday mean? So what does it truly mean? We already understand that it was a day that the Romans worshipped as a sun. But what does Sunday mean? What's the word mean? Uh, I got it in the etymology of the word Sunday. It says the first day of the week, literally day of the sun. So that's the first day of the week. It's not even the last day of the week. When you look on your calendar, you see what? You see Sunday first, and what do you see at the end of your week? Saturday. Which would be I got that too. Saturday in etymology, seventh or last day of the week. Then I also have the etymology of the word Sabbath, because understanding, okay, you see Sabbath a lot. Like, okay, well, you know, maybe what you're saying is cool, but I don't exactly agree with you. Let's just see the definition of it, right? It says Sabbath, seventh day of the week in the Jewish calendar. Saturday, as observed by the Jews as a day of rest from secular employment and religious observance, and of religious observances. See, even in the definitions that you can read and you can find on your own, you can look up these words and they telling you in your face that the Sabbath day was on the seventh day of the week, Saturday, not Sunday, not Monday, not Tuesday. Um, That's all I got. So hopefully, through the will of the Most High, you got some understanding of the Sabbath, understanding we're still obligated to keep it. Uh, with that, I say shalom.
Shalom.